Man, I always forget the Soda Stone gives boost to all stats, right? I only ever think of it as the chance to level up, but it has item find, has the highest item find, right? Then also has the boost to all stats, 26% over the radioactive rods, 19%, so an extra, what was that, 7%? It's pretty good. Hey everyone, I'm Blue, welcome back to Soda Dungeon 2. So we're still going over our mining comp, right? I'm pretty sure I have it ironed out now. We've swapped out our thief item find for just miner item find. That way we still prioritize getting ore as well as restocking resources for our chef to make use of in our ore farm comp, right? So we're using a chef to spare magma souffle, which we require a lot of resources for, and then miners to take advantage of it. So the idea is that we cycle between item find, miner comp, and then ore farm miner comp in order to maximize our uranium gain. So what I have figured out is if we use this comp and we spend 30,000 credits, so we start at 1, battle credits on, key settings are save enough for healing, healing fairy, mineshaft, 100, so that we always take a healing fairy. Your only real losses are to stats effects, right? So if we get an ambush into burn or poison, eventually that will, damage us enough where we do lose. In terms of the scripts, all we're running is this 3, right? So team alive greater than 1, default attack to clear all the enemies. Once there's only 1 enemy left, it will use transmute. If it is an ore, if it is ore, then it'll just default attack, or in most cases, it will just skip the room. But the big thing is for ore mining comps, you mainly want to take use of mining shafts. That's the big thing, right? But anyway, credit wise, if we go to 1, we turn credits on and we spend 30,000, what we should get is enough resources to then use 1,000 credits with the ore farming comp. So we'll spend this, get our resources. Right, so 30,000 credits down the drain, basically. And view loot, not that matters. Again, we just use the chef to check our progress. So we get 23,828 resources. So from that, we can then swap to our ore farm comp, which is basically the same thing, just substituting 1 miner for a chef. And then we can just magma souffle our way to uranium, right? So we start at 5,000 because that's the optimal floor to start finding uranium. Battle credits on, key settings are exactly the same, and this time we only spend 1,000. So we spend it pretty quick, nice and easy, but we should net a decent chunk of uranium off of this. So again, we get 48, right? Pretty decent. But if we look at resources used, I'm pretty sure they should be basically all gone. 313, right? So 30,000 for the item find, right, to restock resources, and then 1,000 for the ore farm to spend them. And well, you know what? We didn't look at the item find, how much uranium we get off of 30,000. So let's redo it again, right? So 30,000, and we'll take a look at the uranium this time. Right, so from the item find comp, we get how much uranium? So remember, this is 30,000 credits. We get a staggering 243, but again, off of 30k credits. So equivalent wise, right, if we divide 243 by 30,000, right, we're getting 81 ore per, sorry, 0.0081 per, no, what am I doing? Times by 1,000, right? So we're getting 8.1 per 1,000 credits, okay? And again, using the resource comp, we're getting 42. So it is better to cycle between the two comps, but you still can net a decent chunk of grain. I mean, as long as you just, throw tons of credits at things, you can usually farm up everything you need. But the best thing to do is cycle between the two and use the magma souffle to really maximize how many items you're getting per your credit use, right? So even if you want to run, something to regain resources overnight and then come back and spend those resources, spend 1,000 credits to then grind out, because 1,000 credits is a day off, right? Because you get 1,440 basically if you leave the game off for a day, or you can farm them up through mammoth shields and other battle credit find, right? So 243 plus then an extra 42 off of 31,000 credits, right? So 243 plus 42 is what we got, and we get 285 uranium off of 31,000 credits. So that's fairly decent. Again, we'll just run the ore farm, right? We'll empty out the resources anyway. We'll go to, I'm tempted. I don't think it increases that much, but we'll use the wraps. Why not? Right? Go to 5,000. Again, highest chance of uranium starts at 5,000 according to the wiki. Go spend 1,000 credits. It'll be nice and quick. And we will see, again, it should be around 40 uranium. Right? Might be a little less because of the wraps. No, we got 66 that time. So I think the wraps actually are beneficial. You'll really amp up your resource usage, but you'll have a higher chance of hitting uranium with a full stack of magma souffle. The other option is to also just cut out one miner instead of using the wraps. It's up to you which you think is better, but still 66, that's a little bit better. So call it 500, right? 500 uranium, roughly, a bit less maybe. Screw it, we'll go 450. 450 uranium per 31,000 battle credits, right? So per credits, we are netting how much? We're getting 0.014, right? So we're getting basically 1/10 of a uranium per credit. That's fairly decent. But the big question, what about Labradorite, right? How do we go about farming Labradorite? So we'll start from 0 resources, right? And essentially we're just going to tweak the item find comp so that we can survive in the Primal Lands, 259. So we didn't even eat through it all with the wraps, which is quite nice, right? So I'm probably going to keep the wraps going. Again, it just increases the likelihood that you get full stacks of magma souffles per ore. So just a little bit of speed helps, or just cut out a miner, stick something else in there to try and get another stack per ore, because you do want to make sure it's capped out when you clear uranium. So I think the wraps is the better bet, right? So before we move on to Labradorite, here's the castle uranium mining comp that I'm using. Again, it's just max ore. The units are the big thing to think about though, right? So again, chef, magma souffles, then just 5 miners. The actual script is nice and simple, 3 lines. There you go. And then in terms of item find, it's basically just the same thing. Replace the chef with 1 extra miner, right? Again, now I'm just trying to aim for 80 item find to guarantee that enemies drop at least 1 item. According to the wiki, this is the correct threshold to have them drop at least green satchels, right? Because the majority of resource items are uncommon. And then we just prioritize ore find as the secondary stat to try and make sure that we do get some extra uranium, or in this case, we'll go for Labradorite, along with stacking up our resources for the farming comp. So again, the units are the priority. Just then go for the stat goals, so 80 item find for the item find comp, then the highest ore find that you can find, and then for the other one, right, just keep the chef and then go for as much ore find as you can. Now, the big thing for the Primal Lands is delirium, right? Delirium is annoying, right? So as long as you can play around that, you're fine. Mana drain is also annoying, because we do want to transmute, but generally speaking, we're just going to swap out one of all the Geo gems to our sanity gem so that we prevent delirium and our comp doesn't wipe itself, right? None of them have speed, so they can't actually clear. What you can run is a different style of comp for item find, but in all honesty, if you're going for items, what I would do is just use the basis of this comp, so use the Geo gems, use the castle, farm up resources for the chef, and then use the chef with resources to do little runs in the Primal Lands. That way you don't have to worry about swapping out stuff. But we'll test it out. We'll see how far we can get with just a set of delirium gems, right? I doubt we can still do the whole 30,000, but we'll give it a go. So we'll spend 30,000 credits in the Primal Lands, and hopefully the delirium gems are enough to prevent us from wiping. Nope, there you go. We only made it 2,429 floors, right? So if we look at the log, burn, 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 most likely from ambush, just because we didn't cycle into healing enough, right? So if you want to farm items for whatever reason in the Primal Lands, if you're using battle credits, you can't get mythics, right? So there's no point. You need to set up a speedy class, right? So either the Dark Lord if you haven't have the Janda, or the Janda, right? The Janda has speed, doesn't he? Or anyone with the wraps so that they outspeed. Although again, you don't outspeed ambushes, so in which case you need to bring a healer and someone to remove stats effects, and it just becomes pretty much a hassle, right? So farm up items in the castle. Don't worry about farming up in the Primal Lands. So we'll grab our item find comp. We need an extra, we'll just do the whole 30,000 it looks like, right? No sanity gems, and we'll just grab the resources from the castle, and then we'll try to farm Labradorite in the Primal Lands with a slightly altered ore farm comp. Right, that should be all the resources we need. Let's make sure, 21,000, close enough. Okay, but what about using the ore farm comp in the Primal Lands? Again, the easiest thing to do is just swap out the gems to the sanity, or you can swap in someone that can clear, right? So if we swap one of these to, say, the Phantasmal Claw, as long as we have enough damage, we can use that to instantly clear all the enemies. Granted, we do then actually suffer 1 hit on any ore nodes, and we also don't get to transmute, right? It's whether or not you think transmuting is impactful enough to the ore comp, or if you're just looking for mining shafts. I don't actually know how delirium is going to affect this, because we might be able to get away with 1,000, because 1,000 floors isn't huge. You know what, we'll give it a go. Right, we'll use this comp as is. We'll go to the Primal Lands. We'll go to 5,000, so it's the same rules as the castle. Labradorite has the highest drop chance or spawn chance from 5,000 onwards. Turn that on, do 1,000 floors, because that's all we have the resources for anyway. I don't think we'll get out of the way, no. Right, so we lost at 526. Curious if that's where we got deliriumed. Still, it's a decent chunk. Yeah, delirium is always the run killer. We got 6 labradorite out of that, so that's not huge. Again, the delirium is just awful, right? How many resources do we end up spending? We didn't end up spending that much. Let me restock a little bit, and then we'll try with the sandy gems. Right, so we lose a little bit of ore find, but we have delirium gems on everyone. You don't need it on the chef because he has the party protection, so he evades, right? So he can't be inflicted with status effects or damage until everyone else is gone. But we should be able to last for 1,000 credits, and we have 23,000 on the resources. That should be plenty. Go to 5,000 again. Right, battle credits on again. Mine shafts, healing because you need to recover, especially from status effects. And then we'll just spend 1,000, and we should be able to do the whole 1,000. Right, fingers crossed. I think we got like 200 done before. So 1,000, easy. Since we have the delirium, a few loots, we get 12 labradorite shards. So they are rarer than uranium because we're usually getting 40 uranium to the 12. But what can you do? It is what it is, right? Labradorite is hard to farm. So we'll end, and that should be all the resources too. We look, basically all gone. I guess ore's a little bit less frequent, or maybe the transmute isn't working, or the wraps. Did I save wraps? Should have saved wraps. No, so the wraps are gone. That's probably why. Yeah, use the wraps, right? It maximizes stacks, has to. But all in all, you probably want, an item find comp that can run in the Primal Lands. So probably just something that clears, and then 80 item find, and then if you get all, you get all, just off the mine shafts. The big thing is, again, just stock up resources for the chef through other tasks, right? If you're grinding out mythics, you'll probably get a bunch of resources anyway. If you're grinding out gold or essence, you'll get those, and then use that in conjunction with the chef and a low population of credits to farm up the items. By which I mean the ore, right? Farm up the ore. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. Right, that's mining. There's one other thing I want to test, and that is just max item find. And then I think we're done with Soul Dungeon, aside from the segmented speedrun and my any percent grind. Anyway, hope you enjoyed. See ya.